any clarity from Ambassador Greer about what's going to happen next?
I'm not so sure. And I tell you, I think it's critically important that all people in the trade, both outside of the United States, but also in the United States, have clarity about the future of the relationships. Because it's a bit like driving. You want to know the rules of the road before you get in the car. It's the same with trade. It's the same with investment. You want to know what the rules are. And you want to avoid having to, come back and claim tariffs back, because this is just not the purpose of people doing business. They want to do business. They don't want to go into legal lawsuits. So I hope it's going to be clarified, and it's going to be sufficiently thought through so that we don't have, again, more challenges, and the proposals will be in compliance with the Constitution, in compliance with the law.
Mm-hmm. Well, what you just said sounded very similar to what one of the justices raised. I think it was Justice Gorsuch saying, like, that's why there is the call to put things in law so that there is clarity for planning ahead. I didn't hear Ambassador Greer say with any certainty that they're going to try to put any of these things in law. Just use existing regulations is what I heard him say. But he did seem certain that the existing trade deals will hold. The EU and the US do have an agreement, 15% tariff ceiling in a recent trade deal, but there's an emergency meeting about all this tomorrow. Do you see that as disruptive, that this could be in jeopardy, in fact?
I'm no longer trade minister.
Right.
I used to be, so I don't know what the outcome of those meetings will be. But it's not as if it was sort of straightforward, 15% across the boards. There are also exemptions. There are carve-outs. There are areas for which there is no tariffs. So I think if it shakes the whole equilibrium, which people in the trade had got used to because they continued trading after the April decisions and the July trade arrangement between the US and Europe. But to sort of shake it up again is going to bring about disruptions in the business, for sure.
Well, when you were last here in October, and I asked you about the impact of the tariffs, you said the global economy had not yet felt the pain. Did we avoid that pain? Did the consumer avoid the pain?
I don't think the consumers avoided the pain. And I think that there are many studies that are being completed now to determine what is the impact and where is the burden of tariffs. And I think that while some exporters have borne some of the brunt, most of it was borne by the US importers and eventually the US consumers, because the US importers have squeezed their margins a bit to absorb some of these additional costs due to tariffs. But there is a point where you don't squeeze your margin so much and you have to pass it on to the consumers. I think this is what we are beginning to see, and multiple studies and very serious people are looking into this. We are trying to look at the data ourselves to make sure what impacts it has on trade and on our economies. And this is a continuous process, which is clearly going to be a bit disrupted by the current development.